Time now is 7:02. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The greeters at your door today was Leisure Services Director Rob Carolyn and Finance Director Kelly McGuire. I'd like to do some introductions today, starting from my far right, which is your far left. We have Secretary Taylor Lockhart, City Clerk Susan Doddris, Deputy Mayor Lori Tollin, Zone 1.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
Commissioner Travis Sargent, Zone 2.
Good evening, welcome.
Commissioner Kristen Deaton, Zone 3.
Good evening and welcome.
Commissioner Harold Briley, Zone 4.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
City Manager Joyce Shanahan. Assistant City Managers Sean Finley. And then sitting in the second row over there, you have Claire Whitley. City Attorney Randy Hayes. And all the way to my far left, you have Chief Godfrey and Chief Howard Briley.
Bailey.
Oh, sorry,
Howard
Bailey, yep. Sorry, my eyes are playing tricks on me. And I'm Mayor Jason Leslie. At this time, I'd like to do the invocation, and I'd like to call Chaplain Sam Mercado.
Thank you, Mayor Leslie. One of the things that we want to have an opportunity to do this evening is to just have a moment of silence, and then I'm going to lead into our invocation. I understand there are 3 motorcycle officers that lost their life in Palm Beach County for the Sheriff's Department, and I think it would be appropriate if we could just have a brief moment of silence and then go into our invocation. Almighty God, there's sadness in our hearts because of our officers who lost their life in the line of duty. There's always sadness when this happens in the community. And so, Lord, we just want to pause for a moment to recognize them and to thank you for being with their families at this time as they mourn their loss. We come here today because we want to make decisions for our community. May we use our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us. May we act in accordance with what is best for our community and our fellow citizens. And we ask your blessing and guidance on our city leaders as they make these decisions in behalf of our community. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You all may be seated. At this time, I'd like to call the following individuals to come up. Tony Tucci from FPL, Elder Pastor Josh Brown, Facilities Pastor Brian Giaquinto from Riverbend Community Church, Chef Gabriel Martinez, and Mark Rogers. Okay, looks like you're the only one here. Oh, where we go? Mark. Whereas in the face of Hurricane Milton's powerful impact, the resilience and unity of our community has been remarkable It is with deep appreciation that we recognize those who demonstrated unwavering dedication and service during this time of crisis. And whereas Florida Power and Light, represented by Tony Tucci and Linda Webster, demonstrated exceptional efficiency and commitment in swiftly restoring power to our community, allowing our residents and businesses to recover as quickly as possible. And whereas Riverbend Community Church, led by Elder Pastor Josh Brown and Facilities Pastor Brian Jean Quinto, along with their staff, opened their doors to provide shelter, lodging, and food for our nighttime patrol shifts, Charlie and Delta, offering a safe haven for our officers and staff during the storm. And whereas Chef Gabriel Martinez, with tireless commitment, stayed on site for the entire duration of the storm with minimal rest, ensuring our officers and staff were provided with hot meals around the clock. In addition to his culinary support, he performed constant facility maintenance and repairs, making arrangements as comfortable as possible. And whereas Mark Rogers, General Manager on behalf of the Orland Beach Walmart Supercenter, generously contributed $600 in gift cards for food, water, and supplies, and an additional $1,000 worth of food to support emergency operations. Mark, his team, and the store serve as a vital role as a community partner during emergencies and throughout the year. And whereas these acts of kindness and dedication significantly contribute to the rapid recovery of our city and the well-being of all who served in our community during challenging times. Now therefore, I, Jason Leslie, Mayor of Orland Beach, do hereby proclaim December 3rd, 2024 as a day to recognize the community support during Hurricane Milton in the city of Orland Beach, and encourage all residents to join in expressing gratitude and appreciation of Florida Power and Light, Riverbend Community Church, Chef Gabriel Martinez, and the Walmart team for their collaborative efforts in building a stronger, more resilient community. In witness, therefore, I here have hereinafter set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Orland Beach to be affixed this third day of December in the year of our Lord, 2024. At this time, we'll hear from those of you who have signed a card to speak about any item which is not on the printed agenda for this meeting. Each person will be given 3 minutes. The first person I'd like to call up is Debbie Forrester.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here to fill you in on a few of our veterans events we have coming up. Let's see. We're having our 9th annual Ormond Strong Adopt a Veteran for Christmas program. The event takes place December 14th, 10 o'clock at Clyde Layson Veterans Nursing Home. We're also doing Barracks of Hope Homeless Veterans Shelter their Christmas, and members of the community can fill a stocking for one of the 120 military veterans residents at the Clyde Layson Veterans Nursing Home, or they could donate $20. We'll fill the stocking. But either way, whoever fills a stocking and wants to come, you get to come sing with us. We go from house to house and give out the stockings. It's very heartwarming event, and we love doing it every year. Also, we're having our second caravan to North Carolina. It's all veterans-led. We had multiple trucks and a trailer bringing supplies up to North Carolina, benefiting those whose lives were devastated by Hurricane Helene. If anybody wants to donate any items such as blankets, camping supplies, propane tanks, jackets with hoods and pockets, gloves, mittens, kids' clothing. Also, over-the-counter medication is something they really, really need. So if anybody can donate any of that. And you can donate your time, talent, treasury if you like, or bring your trailer and we'll fill it up and come be part of the caravan. Thank you so much, and you guys have a great evening.
Thanks,
Arm
Debbie.
and Strong out.
The next one I'd like to call up is Dorian Burt.
Good evening. I'm Dorian Burt. Most of you know me, some of you don't. 203 Pinecone Trail. Well, I'm here on behalf of the Highlander Corp to say we are so lucky in this city. Our police and our firemen are awesome. Recently, I've had the occasion to need them both, and they're just wonderful, and I really want everyone to know that. So that's what I wanted to say. Okay.
Thanks, Dorian. Next, I'd like to call up Jennifer Bright.
This election showed us very important information, that America is, for the most part, conservative, that Americans want the government our forefathers fought for and so diligently and wisely put together for us. The new administration can begin to clean up D.C., but what needs to be done is cleaning at every level of government without having state, county, and local governments clean up. We can just have a Band-Aid fix. We, the people, must bring Ormond Beach back to the Republic and a constitutional government. A countless number of NGOs have been planted in our city, county, state, and are deeply embedded in every office of government. They are not going away. Thus, our local government will continue to be led down a path of Marxist, socialist, New World Order. These people are paid Marxist. They have cushy salaries to take down the only country in the world that stands for individual freedom and rule. What other reason is there that the city of Ormond Beach has not put the nativity scene out on the corner this year? When I came to Ormond Beach, seeing that nativity on the corner told me I truly found a home. Since that sense of community has now been shattered. Thank you.
At this time, the minutes have been sent out to the commission for review and posted to the city's website. Does anyone have any corrections or changes?
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Object?
Mr. Mayor, is that for both meetings?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, for that's November 6th and November 19th. The following items are community redevelopment items. The City Commission serves as the community redevelopment agency of the city and must review these items and make a recommendation as a CRA. Therefore, we will recess the City Commission meeting and call the CRA meeting to order. I will now open the public hearings. And I have one card here for Jennifer Bright.
I would go ahead and read, Mayor, if I may, go ahead and read the resolution
I'm
title
sorry,
and
yeah.
then card.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I jumped around.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Yeah, Madam Secretary, please read the title.
All right, this is for 7A, resolution number 2024-207. A resolution of the City Commission also acting as the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, accepting a bid from Coleman Guda Moda Construction Company, Inc. to provide construction services for the Casson Park redevelopment project, authorizing the execution of a contract and payment therefore, rejecting all other bids and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2024-207, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. Ms. Bright, you can speak now.
On December 6, 2022, the City Commission authorized Zen Cohen and Associates to prepare plans and bid specifications for the redevelopment of Sesson Park. Just 2 short years later, October 23, 2024, the bids for this project were finally opened. Now we have the lowest bid amount of $2,449,000. Staff is recommending spending funds from our reserve fund 104-CRA. The city has a lot outstanding debt and has raised our taxes. I would like to see this project put on hold until such a time that all our outstanding loans are paid off. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I don't have any more cards.
Mayor,
Any
move
discussion?
approval.
Second.
Call the vote, please.
That's actually a voice vote.
Oh, yes.
It's a
a voice
CRA.
vote, yeah, CRA. Voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I will now close the public hearings and reconvene the city commission meeting. Items on the consent agenda are deemed routine and non-controversial. The action proposed is stated from the consent agenda. No discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Does any of the member of the commission wish to pull any agenda items?
Move approval.
Second.
Call the vote, Susan?
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Mayor Leslie.
Yes. Any commissioners wish to comment on any of the consent agenda items? Oh, okay. Deputy Mayor.
Yep, I have a couple comments. On 8A, we've awarded the contract to Coleman Goodamote, and I just want this commission to know that this is a quality company. I have confidence in their work, they're local, and they take pride where they live. So I just wanted to make that statement. On 8F, I just want to be acknowledge that I'm thankful for staff for emergently protecting the residents related to the forced main breaks on Riverside Drive due to Milton. I got multiple phone calls during that time, and the water was going into the houses, and we responded, the staff responded quickly, and I'm very appreciative to that. And the 8L, the Yellowstone contract, I was just doing a little bit of numbers, which you know is different for me because I never think that that's my forte, but the original contract in 2014 was $505,000, and today it's $665,000. If you look at use that CPI conversion, that is exactly what that contract was in 2014. So I think, I think we've been hard on Yellowstone with increasing their contracts all the time. But if you look at where they were originally and where they are now, they're exactly doing, we've added parks, we've added, I don't know, I can't think of the word. But anyway, they're doing a great job. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anyone else? Commissioner Sargent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to also comment on 8A to Coleman and Ike Leary. We're finally getting it done. It's been 2-3 years. My only request is that we have it done before July 4th of next year, so we can, no pressure, but I just really hope that we can have that accomplished.
And we know where you live.
Yes. And also on 8I, the chamber's audio and visual, that's getting redone while we're, after this meeting, and we won't have a meeting until the first of the year, finally going to have it all upgraded in the chambers, which is 25 years overdue, where people can sit at home and actually listen to our meetings and see our meetings, and just very pleased that we're finally getting this accomplished. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent. Any other commissioners? Oh, Commissioner.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to, again, I'll echo in on 8A as well. We're in very good hands with Coleman Goodmote doing this project, and with the design and all the engineering work by Zefco and Associates. I think this park will probably wind up being one of the shining stars, the shining gem in Ormond Beach, so especially on our Four Corners. And our Four Corners parks are very important to the city, so I look forward to it in its completion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Briley. Any other comments? Okay, we're going to move to 9. I will now open the public hearings. City Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance number 2024-36, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, vacating a portion of Corbin Avenue, a platted public right-of-way within the property located at 1 South Beach Street, Volusia County parcel identification number 4215-14-03-0010, known as Casson Park, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for recordation and transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2024-36, read by title only.
Planning Director Steven Spraker would like to speak on the item.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. This is a request for a right-of-way vacation. The right-of-way is within the Casson Park redevelopment area. The goal of this application is to make that right-of-way go away. So as part of the redevelopment, we didn't want the right-of-way within the park area. The notice of intent was previously approved by the commission. This is an ordinance, requires 2 readings, and staff is recommending approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Does the applicant want to speak on the item or no?
The city is the applicant.
Okay, oh, right.
Yep. I was just going to say, this right-of-way is so old and never going to be used. And I was going to, it's a paper right-of-way. So I was going to make the motion, but I will be in support of the measure.
Okay. I don't see any cards here, so do I have motions?
Move approval.
Second.
Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. City Clerk, please read the title.
All right, this is for item 9B, ordinance number 2024-37, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a first amended development order for a planned business development located at 251 South Atlantic Avenue, Volusia County parcel number 4214-19-07-0010, and a parcel of property along South Atlantic Avenue, Volusia County parcel number 4214-18-06-0011, known as Ormond Beach Holdings LLC, authorizing a north property line setback reduction to allow the construction of a public sidewalk and beach access improvement, establishing conditions and expirations of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2024-37, read by title only.
Steven Spraker.
This is a request for a planned business development amendment. There is a redevelopment going on of the hotel property at 251 South Atlantic. Is under construction right now. As part of that development order, there was a requirement for a sidewalk, a beach access from A1A down to the beach. As the applicant went to Volusia County, there was a determination that the county would not accept that beach walkway. So the applicant proceeded with an amendment to remove it from the site plan. That amendment got recommended approval by Planning Board. It came to Commission on May 7th. The Commission asked the applicant to go back to the county and to rework to see if there was a mechanism for the county to accept it. The applicant has done that. The county is willing to accept that sidewalk and the improvement constructed by the applicant. As a result of that, the county is going to take the land next to the beach approach, which requires a reduced setback of the building. The building, as shown on the original site plan, doesn't change. It's just the ownership of the sidewalk. So it requires this amendment that's before you tonight. Staff is recommending approval, and the applicant is here to address any questions of the commission.
Would the applicant like to speak on the item?
Sure. Mayor Commission Rob Merrill with Cobb Cole Law Firm, One Daytona Boulevard. I'll start by congratulating new mayor and Commissioner Deaton. Welcome and thank you for your service. By the way, you're doing a great job tonight. This has been quite expeditious in my experience, so thank you.
Thank you.
As Steve said, I think you guys have seen this is the newest hotel in Ormond Beach, probably in the last, I think, 15 years. It's under construction. I think we're on the 3rd floor, and we're going to top off sometime in the next month or 6 weeks, so we're real excited about that. You guys told us last May when we came here to do the previous amendment that you want us to go back and work with the county. It took us a little while, but we're here. I think this is a great success story, and hopefully you guys will support us. I also have Adam Plaus and Kevin Lee, Adam with the development company and Kevin with Parker Menschenberg. You guys have any questions?
Any questions? No.
Question.
No, Deputy Mayor.
So The question last time was about the maintenance of it, and I think that was the big issue. The county didn't want to maintain it. Is that
They will
issue
be
been
now.
resolved? It will be maintained by the county?
Absolutely. They're actually going to get a complete dedication. They will be the owners of it. So,
Perfect, okay.
yeah, that worked out better for us.
Thank you. Yes, it did. Thank you for going
Yeah.
back to the county.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Move approval.
Second.
Call the vote, please, clerk.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes.
Just a comment on that, Mr. Mayor. Good work, Mr. Merrill. Thank you for getting that resolved with the county.
Yeah, thank you. City Clerk, please read the title.
Right, moving on to 9C, ordinance number 2024-38, an ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Administration, Article 3, definitions and acronyms, Section 1-22, definition of terms and words, and Chapter 2, District and General Regulations, Article 2, District Regulations, Section 2-32I-1, Light Industrial Zoning District of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code to amend the definition of malted beverage producer and amend the name of the use malted beverage producer to alcoholic or malted beverage manufacturer, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2024-38, read by title only.
Steven Spraker.
This is a land development code amendment. The applicant created this use back in 2013 and has been very successful in his business. And one of the goals of this application is to allow additional beverages, additional non-malted beverages that would include, what would include? Seltzers, ciders, and vodka-based canned beverages. It's basically an expansion of an existing industrial use. The Ormond Brewery is the only use that is currently utilizing this use within the city. The applicant is here. The planning board recommended approval with a 7-0 vote.
Okay. Is the applicant here to speak on the item? Yep.
Rob Merrill again, for the record. Here with Justin Robinson, he's a back row kind of guy, but Justin Robinson's a good friend of mine. I think you guys hopefully have been to his company, Ormond Brewing Company, and he's been wildly successful. We're here to answer any questions. I think what's happened is, the market has changed. So when we first did the ordinance, we actually created the ordinance for Ormond Brewing Company, and we used the word malted beverages, and we limited ourselves. So now you're seeing ciders, seltzers, as Steve said, that people really like. So we like to sort of be on the cutting edge and stay on the cutting edge. Justin it went from, I think, 2 employees and 100 gallons of beer to 15 employees and 1,500 gallons of beer, and from 1,000 square feet to 7,000 square feet at his warehouse. He's just done a fantastic job growing, and as not only a successful businessman, he's given back to the community. A lot of charitable things go on over there, a lot of, I think, camaraderie among all of your citizens that go there. So I'm really proud of him, and hopefully you guys will support this tonight.
Thank you.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote, please. Sorry, I didn't see you.
I just wanted to say I do appreciate the small business aspect, and I do appreciate, I've been to multiple of those, charitable events at your location, and I do appreciate it. So good job.
I'd like to say good job also. Any other discussion? Can you call the vote, please?
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to D now. City Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance number 2024-39, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a first amended development order for a planned business development located west of I-95 north of U.S. Highway 1 and bisected by Destination Daytona Lane, known as the Loves Having Fun BPUD, Destination Daytona, authorizing a tattoo establishment as permitted use within the planned business development, establishing conditions and expirations of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2024-39, read by title only.
Steven Spraker.
Good evening. This is a planned business development for the Loves Having Fun planned development, better known as Destination Daytona. So it is located along US 1 and I-95 and includes a multiple number of businesses. The city received a business tax receipt application for a tattoo use within Destination Daytona. And looking at the uses, planning staff denied that application because it was not in the plan development. Came to find out that it was previously established in the Destination Daytona area for a number of years. The county had allowed it through an interpretation. So the business had existed for probably about 10 or 12 years. They went vacant. Now they're trying to reestablish the use. The applicant met with staff, agreed that it was not in the development order, and agreed to amend the development order. That's why we're here tonight. There was one objection email that was provided at the planning board. The planning board did recommend approval. The second phase of Destination Daytona also allows the tattoo uses. Staff is recommending approval. The applicant is here if there are any questions on the application.
You got questions?
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. So how in the second phase, it's already allowed approval? How is that, did that already come before us? I mean, how did that happen? Or
It was both development orders were approved in Volusia County, and basically when the city annexed them,
Then
we
we
took
have to
the
take them in.
uses that were in there. The interesting thing was the interpretation to allow the use rather than doing an amendment at the time.
So from what I understand and from what I read, tattoos are allowed under the beauty salon
That
umbrella?
That was a Volusia County definition. Staff does not necessarily agree with that, which is why we're here tonight.
Right.
So that was a county interpretation back in, I think, 2005, 2007.
So I'm kind of mixed emotions about this. My problem, I think if it stays within Destination Daytona, it makes sense. I worry a little bit about opening a can of worms if it goes under beauty salon, that we're going to have tattoo shops all the way up US 1. I mean, we established an interlocal agreement to try to clean up US 1, and I certainly don't want to open that can of worms.
Staff could not agree more. So this application is specific to the Destination Daytona area. It could only be used in the Destination Daytona area. So in a normal course of zoning, staff would not apply a tattoo use to a beauty salon use, which is why we're here tonight, because we didn't carry on the county interpretation. In the rest of the city, the tattoo use is only allowed in our B5 service commercial zoning district, which is very limited.
Okay.
Not to say you couldn't have one, but it's not generally available through the city, and it's not allowed as a beauty salon use.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Mayor Leslie.
Yes. City Clerk, please read the title, E.
Ordinance number 2024-40, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a first amended master development plan for a planned mixed-use development located west and south of the FEC Railroad, east of the Flagler County boundary line and north of Durance Lane and Harmony Avenue, known as the Ormond Crossings. Authorizing an amendment within Track 8 to allow single-family residential uses with the residential high-density land use area and to update the conceptual master plan for the residential land area. Establishing conditions and expirations of approval and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2024-40, read by title only.
Stephen Spraker.
This is an amendment to a planned mixed-use development. So this is a development order, starting out the presentation with the area of Ormond Crossings. So at the top is the Florida East Coast Railroad, and then US 1 would be just to the top of that. So it goes from the East Coast Railroad to Durance Lane and Harmony. Those would be the southern boundaries. The western boundary is Flagler County, and then the eastern boundary is wrapped by Harmony Avenue. So this is the general location of Ormond Crossings. The project is really divided into three separate areas. The first area is east of I-95, which is intended to be a commerce center, job growth, industrial office uses. Just west of I-95 is a town center, your traditional town center with a mixture of commercial uses, office, and residential. And then the last component is a residential component next to the Flagler County line. The land planning for this project started back in 2004 with the annexation. The city annexed 3,095 acres into the city of Ormond Beach from Volusia County. In 2004 was the start of a community redevelopment area. That's an area that allows the taxes to be reinvested into the project. This community redevelopment area is specifically for a bridge over the railroad tracks from US 1 into the Commerce Center where the jobs are supposed to be created. So that is the purpose of the community redevelopment area. The other access points for the project include the at-grade crossing, which you can go over today at Broadway. And then northwest on the project, there is a flyover that again goes from US 1 into the residential area. So that's how the project would be accessed. Starting in 2005, there were comprehensive plan amendments that were transmitted to the Department of Community Affairs at that time to basically take the development rights into the city of Ormond Beach. There was also a development of regional impact approved. That was for large projects, Breakaway Trails, Hunter's Ridge. Those are examples of development of regional impacts. Eventually, state law was amended to rescind development of regional impacts, so that eventually went away. 5 years after the transmittal, there was a stipulated settlement agreement that took the land area and brought it into our comprehensive plan. And what it did is it established certain entitlements for those three areas. It also had specific amendments to multiple sections of our comprehensive plan. In that same year, 2010, there was a development agreement that basically organized the entitlements, the developer commitments, and when those had to take place. The difference in the annex area and this land area is the properties from the railroad track to US 1 were left out of the Ormond crossings. So they have generalized zoning. So again, reviewing our three areas, the Commerce Center, the Town Center, and the residential. The residential really is the focus of the application tonight, and there's 2,550 residential units approved for that land area. In 2013, after the development agreement, there was a zoning document. So the zoning document is not going to have detailed site plans. It's not going to have all the site plan information. It does have a conceptual master plan, which kind of shows you the thought process of the development. It has a land use and a track map. And with that track map, you have individual zoning uses and setbacks and dimensional standards. So that zoning document gives you uses and dimensional standards. It gives you the development commitments, and it gives you certain standards like architecture and landscaping, how a project would be built. For each one of the residential developments, each phase, it has to go through a preliminary site plan. So that's basically a conceptual plan to show they're consistent with the master plan. That's approved by our site plan review committee. And then for each phase, it requires a preliminary plat, which gets reviewed by the planning board and gets acted upon by the city commission. There's also a final plat. So for each development, you will see both the preliminary plat and the final plat. In our timeline, in 2015, there was an extension of that community redevelopment area. And then in 2017 was the first amendment to the development agreement. That allowed the Security First building, our first project in Ormond Crossings, which was eventually approved by a site plan review committee, and as we know today, is existing as the only development in Ormond Crossings. Another time extension in 2020 for our community redevelopment area, and then in 2024, as the project is sold to the current applicant, there was a preliminary site plan. So that first stage, not a true subdivision plan, that was approved by a site plan review committee of 444 lots. The commission also approved the Community Development District, and that district is a financing tool for infrastructure improvements and maintenance. That Community Development District is only on the residential area. So it's a way to pay for those improvements. The application before you tonight there's two items. One is within track 8 of the residential area, it only allows multifamily and townhomes use. The applicant, the contract purchaser for the residential portion, desires only to have single-family uses in the development. So they would like to add single-family uses into track 8. which requires an amendment. They'd also like to update the conceptual master plan based on some of the inputs that they've had, primarily from Volusia County, and from additional information they've had in site planning. Track 8 is located almost right in the middle of the residential portion. And again, the sole amendment is to take it from multifamily to allow single family. There's no changes in the entitlements, no increased residential units, no increased commercial units. The second part of this amendment is taking this conceptual master plan approved in 2013 and inserting this one. So this is a blow-up of the northern portion. The primary change is in meetings with Volusia County, they desire, and the applicant agrees and staff also believes it's a good idea, to relocate Timber Creek, as you know it today, which would be next to the interstate, right here, to relocate it to align with the flyover so that you would have a major roadway owned and maintained by Volusia County to be constructed. The existing Timber Creek would still exist. It's probably going to get bowed out a little bit so you don't have that awkward curve under the interstate. The concept plan starts to show you parks, which are shown in green. It shows you the lot layouts, it shows you the wetlands, and this is a K-8 elementary school. So it starts to provide detail. This is the middle section, again, shows you the realignment of Timber Creek, shows you the middle school residential areas, shows you the wetlands. The concept plan has relatively minimal impacts to the wetland, and they are clustering the lots within the development area. This is the southern part, so Durance Acres would be located right here. Timber Creek Road is here. So these are the wetlands to be preserved, the lot areas, and then the stormwaters. Everything shown in here doesn't necessarily vest the applicant. They still have to go through all the preliminary and final plats, which comes back before Planning Board and Commission. So to summarize the two items, actually pretty straightforward. One is to allow single family in Track 8, and the other is to incorporate the conceptual master plan for the residential areas. The Planning Board recommended approval with a 7-0 vote. One of the items at Planning Board was flooding and stormwater, primarily with Durance Acres. So in 2023, the city adopted a stormwater master plan. And in that master plan, there was a study that was scheduled to be done in this fiscal year. So as Hurricane Milton hit and basically Volusia County was allocated funds for stormwater, City of Ormond Beach applied for some of those stormwater studies. They were awarded approval on November 19th with Volusia County. We're scheduled to meet later this month with Volusia County to start those stormwater projects. The applicant is here, and I'm available for any questions if there are any.
Would the applicant like to speak on the item at all?
Mr. Mayor, I just have one question. I'm sorry. Maybe Stephen can answer the question. On the Tract 8, where they're going from the multifamily to single family, I know they have vested development rights, but are looking, with that change, would it be, I would imagine it would be a decrease in density?
The density is throughout the entire 1,800 acres.
Understand.
So they're not going to change the density of the overall project. Particular area might have actually less units.
That's what I'm saying. It could be a
Right.
reduction in density, a decrease in density.
Right.
I mean,
So-
not that they would be getting a decrease because they already have, as I said, they have vested development rights to a
Correct.
certain number of units.
Right.
But I would imagine this would take that number down some.
In that,
Potentially.
in that particular area, I
Yeah.
would agree, yes.
Does anybody else have questions for the planning director?
For just piggybacking with what Harold just said, I read about 113 affordable housing units. Is that going to be located in Track 8?
I don't believe
Or
it's,
is that going to be in other areas?
I don't believe it's been identified yet exactly where that's going to be, and it might be distributed through the project. So again, they're not at that level of detail. That will come back to the commission at some point.
Okay. And I will have a lot of questions, so I'll wait till everybody asks theirs, because I know I tend to talk a lot
Okay.
at the end.
So
Mr. Deaton.
just to clarify, simply because I do know there's a lot of confusion regarding this project, we are simply going from multifamily possible apartments and townhouses straight to single-family homes.
Correct.
Okay, I would,
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
Well, it'll be, probably a Stephen. Okay, sorry. I warned you it was going to be a lot. You did address the flooding, so we're doing a study with Durance Trail and Durance Acres and Bear Creek. I mean, Bear Creek has been struggling with water as well, and it does come up close to them. Will that study include Bear Creek area or just Durance Acres?
I believe it's just Durance Acres. There may be additional studies that the city does in the future, but the master plan and what we submit to Volusia County was for Durance Acres.
If we can consider maybe thinking about adding Bear Creek to that. I know it's been something for the last year and a half we've heard from Bear Creek. Okay.
And that may be a future study specifically for that area.
Okay. So I won't talk about the flooding. The school.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just thinking about the history of Plantation Oaks, how things changed. There was a school and a golf course, then there was no school, no golf course, and development occurred in sections. So there's a school scheduled right now.
Mm-hmm.
How can we guarantee, I know it's up to the school board to determine the needs, but can we insist that that school stay and that it doesn't go to the south end where Pine Trail and Pathways is and stay up closer to US 1?
So the
because that's a debacle.
Sure. So the project has a series of approvals: comprehensive plan, development agreement, and the zoning document. All three documents have developer commitments, which includes the schools. So if the applicant and the school board sought to, waive that, which neither one have indicated they're going to do it, they would have to come back and amend all three of those documents before the city commission.
Okay.
So there is no indication that the school board is doing that. As a matter of fact, I believe they have been talking to the applicant, and they are talking timing and everything else. So there's no indication that that is in play.
Now, the next subject would be safety. Is there any plan for fire station, police station? Has that been addressed or secured?
So the development agreement requires both the construction of a fire station and 2 fire apparatus. So that's in the existing development agreement. The applicant has been in conversations with city staff to discuss the timing, so that is in place.
Okay.
And there also are police and fire impact fees, which the commission approved as part of the impact fee update.
Okay. Next topic, wetlands. On Exhibit D, on the concept plan, and Exhibit C, does it change the natural wetlands that are there? It looked like there was just a small section that was impact in Tract 8. In all of the wetlands and the green space there, are those wetlands altered?
So we haven't gotten to the detailed drawings. From the concept plan, we can tell you that they have worked very hard to stay out of all the wetlands and upland buffers. Doesn't mean there won't be impacts at road crossings. And again, that's part of the ground truthing when the plats come back to you. But the concept plan, and the applicant can probably tell you some more details. The concept plans have used clustering, and that's clustering with 40-foot lots, 50-foot lots, 50-foot wide lots, and 60-foot wide lots. Those are lots not typically seen in Ormond Beach, right? But the whole purpose of those lots is so they're not impacting the wetlands.
I apologize, guys. I'm just going down my list. I hope
No, you're good.
you're okay. All right, mass clearing. No tree survey for Tract 8 because of the monoculture of pine trees. Is that just in Tract 8 or is that in the whole development?
It's in the entire development work.
Okay, so are there other options you can do other than mass clearing? Is there any way, like in those big green spaces that we see, you knew this was probably coming from me. In all that green space, is there any way that we can not do mass clearing, but do more careful pruning around?
So
and maybe that's an applicant question?
Well, I'll take my stab, and then the applicant can add to my comments. So the goal of the project is not to impact environmentally sensitive areas, and that is the wetland preservation. In other areas, they will have to develop, and they will have to fill. And the amount of fill that generally is required will not allow any trees in that area to stay.
Right.
So there is no way to, the city and other cities are governed by the base flood elevation and then the Federal Emergency Management Agency finished floor elevation. So there are requirements that we can't waive that you have to get to, and the only way that you're going to get to it is by filling. And that is in the developable areas, the areas that you see in color, and then the rest are to be preserved. And they will be well above what our tree and natural preservation would be.
All right, so all the developed area, all the yellow and all the pretty colors will be raised at 3 to 4 feet.
Correct.
At least in the documents that I read. And then all the green the wetlands and the green space will be left alone. And so the water will flow into that area and those trees can be preserved?
Yes, not only the wetlands, there'll be an upland buffer.
And the upland buffers too?
Correct,
Okay.
correct, yep. And they're required to do, and they've already done some drainage and master studies. They already have those in process. But right now, we're at a zoning level, so we don't have those detailed.
I understand
Right,
that.
so
I figured
there's more
this is my
information.
opportunity
Absolutely.
to kind of throw
Well, it is.
everything out there before you even get any further. Trails, next thing. You saw there was 2 sets of trails, one that was in the plan, and then what does constructed by adjacent development mean? Does that mean maybe will be created or maybe not? There were 2 colors. You had a blue color of trails and you had a red color of trails. I didn't write down my page.
Right, I mean, one could be developed by the master developer and the other developed by the subdivision developer. So there's multiple developers in the project.
Okay.
The development order has extensive trails both on the roadways and next to the environmental areas. So it is a multimodal design.
So, but the individual developers, it will be part of the plan that they have to complete that.
That would
But
be
it'll just be their responsibility to do it. But
Correct.
it can't be like erased.
not without coming to the commission and
Okay,
removing those
all right.
requirements.
Okay, final question. Final answer. We're working on some new landscape ordinances with our land development code. Are we going to be able to get these into this project? Or is this project going to be developed without the changes?
So ordinance, in the 2013 ordinance, established landscape standards. It's a vested document that the city doesn't have the ability to change. It's a
Even though-
contract.
So even in the city, if we have a higher standard, we can't hold them to that higher standard.
Well, so I haven't done a comparison of this, the 2013 document versus the new landscape update. So I can't tell you if it's higher, the same, or less. So
Can we have that discussion maybe with the developer?
he's standing right behind
Yeah,
me. so.
I'd love to. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
I apologize, guys, but this is really important.
No, that was really good stuff. It was
Okay.
great. Yep. Any other questions for the plan director? Okay. Hello.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Paulus with Paulus and Bennett, 2602 East Livingston Street, Orlando, Florida. Here representing the applicant. We have a short presentation, but it's really just the items that Steve showed with the actual changes. If you'd like us to go through it, we can. If not, we can answer questions.
Any questions? No.
I guess my question, I'm so sorry. So the city we are in the process of looking at all our landscape code. We're trying to create a more native environment, a more greener community. And there's been some changes in trees, plants, etc. I would love it if you would, it has not been passed, it hasn't even gone through the planning board yet, but I have high hopes that this will come to fruition at some point. Would that be something that you could consider keeping, increasing native plants, making shade tree canopies within the community? I mean, this is our opportunity to do the right thing and to develop beautifully, and I would love to see you all do that.
Well, we could definitely review the code and we'll have the landscape architect. We'll ask them to take a look at, just what Steve was saying, compare.
Yeah.
that
It's not
ordinance.
wild and crazy. It really isn't.
Yeah.
It's just reasonable.
Yeah, let me just turn to the plan here. So we have, this is blown further away version, but we have had a lot of meetings with the design team, with the landscape architect, with the developer, with the home builder, with the theming and branding design company we've walked the whole site, we've looked at kind of key areas, kind of jewel areas of oak hammocks, of existing canals, prairie areas, and tried to really shape the plan that you see up there to really preserve and incorporate a lot of those, as many of those as possible. So really for months, we've sort of been going down that general direction already on this property.
Yeah.
So having said that, I will definitely have to ask the landscape architect to look at the code to see what the differences are, and then, we may already be meeting some of the changes.
You may. I love the fact that you kept all that green in those areas, and I mean, it does look nice, and the way you cluster things does open up more green space. So I am appreciative of that. I'm just being extremely cautious now and careful,
Yeah, and as Steve said, we did develop the plan to minimize wetland impacts. There are some wetland impacts, but we tried to focus those on just small isolated wetlands or road crossings. But yeah, all the light green area you see up there will be preserved, as well as really miles of upland buffers surrounding those. The light blue areas that you can see scattered throughout, that is 100-year floodplain that we're not impacting. In fact, we may actually excavate it out to provide more floodplain. And then the dark blue are ponds. Like you said, the multicolors are the lots. And then the parks are the darker green. There's a total of 45 acres of parks, including I think it turned out to be a 28 acre, 30 acre, or 22 acre city park that we've worked with the Parks Department, and not only the location of it, but the general dimensions of it and the adjacency to the other factors in the plan. So I do think it will be a development, and it's been thought of through the whole design process of sort of incorporating the nature that's out there today and using it for the development.
It's a nice concept plan. It really is. I applaud you on it. It looks very nice.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sargent.
I just would like to say thank you. I think it looks good. I like how you're not coming in and asking for an increase of density. And I would, echo what Commissioner Deputy Mayor Tolan says, if you could incorporate more native plants. But with that, I would make a motion to move approval.
Commissioner Deaton.
I would also like to say thank you for not increasing the density. And you know what, Deputy Mayor, I'm going to give this one to you. I'd love to see some more tree coverage, some native plants. We'll give it to you. If you could look into that, I'd be appreciative. Thank you.
Commissioner Briley.
And I just will echo the comments, I guess, there, and there may be an opportunity for decreasing the density, going for the single family, so.
Right, for that area,
Yep,
yes.
that's great, thank you.
And I'd just like to add to that, I agree with all the commission here too about, preserving some of the nature and things like that, so I really appreciate that. And thank you, Deputy Mayor, for that, all that information.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? No? Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Deaton.
Yes.
Commissioner Briley.
Yes.
Commissioner Toland.
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent.
Yes.
Mayor Leslie.
Yes. Thank you. City Clerk, please read Title F.
Resolution number 2024-216, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, authorizing the execution of a mural ownership agreement to allow a mural to be installed on the north, south, east, and west facing walls of the building located at 67 West Granada Boulevard between the City of Ormond Beach, Anthony Goudis, Wava J. Co. LLC building owner, and Terry Althouse and Thais Franca artists, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2024-216, read by title only.
Stephen Spraker.
This is a request for a mural at 67 West Granada. One of the provisions of the Land Development Code, it does allow murals on multi-sides of the building, but it needs to be approved by the commission. We have seen an increase in public art, which we are encouraging. So there are murals on all 4 sides of the building proposed. The project was reviewed by the Ormond Beach Art District Board and unanimously recommended for approval. Both the building owner and the artist are here. If there are any questions, staff is recommending approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this looks great. I did have an email from a resident yesterday, actually, that would like to see maybe an ocean-themed project that maybe we could work with. I see Councilman Kent has come in, maybe with the county on the beach approach to maybe have a mural down there of like a cool surf scene or something a little bit different. But I think this is great for our community, and I second that motion.
Commissioner Deaton.
I'd like to just make a comment. I love it. I love the murals. Thais, you do great work. I'm excited for this.
And maybe we get Ties to do the, maybe the one down on the beach approach or something. I don't know. But no, anyway, great work, great job. We look forward to it. Thank you.
And I'd like to say also that it's really nice to have something like this, so good job at this time. Oh,
And one more.
okay. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
So Terry Althouse, I don't know if you remember me, but she painted a mural in one of my girls' bedrooms, and it's the only room that I have not repainted because I absolutely loved it. So she is such a talented artist, and I feel like I'm famous because of your mural in my room.
You know, I can kind of say the same thing. I have a building I own in Daytona, and we have a mural inside one of the rooms, and when people come in, they say, "Why do you still have that up for?" I say, "It's beautiful. I love it."
Yeah.
All right. At this time, I'd like to call a vote.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. I will now close the public hearings. And we're going to move to 10A. City Clerk, please read the title.
All right, this is a second reading of ordinances. Ordinance number 2024-35, an ordinance amending section 2-218, Neighborhood Improvement Advisory Board of Article 6, Boards, Commissions, Committees, and other agencies of Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of Ordinances by amending the name of the board, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-35, read by title only.
Does the City Clerk need to speak on the item?
Only if you have any questions.
Move approval.
Second.
Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Before we move to item number 11, I'd like to ask the Commission if we can ask Councilman Troy Kent to come up and speak for a minute. Is that okay?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. We'll give you 3 minutes.
Still have a fan club.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commission. I apologize for my tardiness, but I just got home from a council meeting that I was at all day, and I want to apologize. I was not able to be here when you all got sworn in, but I'm here now, and I just wanted to say congratulations to each and every one of you. Mayor Leslie, congratulations to you, Deputy Mayor Tolland, Commissioner Sargent, Commissioner Deaton, and Commissioner Briley. Congratulations. I know that you all will continue to do wonderful things for the city of Ormond Beach. And for the new members, I just want to offer and tell you, I am here to help you. If I can do anything that will benefit the city of Ormond Beach while I'm serving on the county council, you all have my personal number. Give me a call, email me, and I look forward to working with you all to accomplish great things in Ormond Beach. On a side note, I'll just say, I don't know whose idea it was with the statues, and this is just Troy Kent personally now. I love them. I think they're great around town. So thank you for that. And then I'll also just say, I do have a request, and that is the speed bumps that we have on Riverside Drive. There are two of them next to Fluhart. One of them has a flashing light right next to it. I live right near that area, and I've got to tell you, I come up on those things and I forget they're there. And my request is that you have a flashing light at each of them, right at the location where it is, so people can see it. They're black. They mix in with the black pavement, and you don't know they're there sometimes, and it's a little bit dangerous. So that's just a side Troy Kent note. But on behalf of myself and my wife, Heather, we just, again, wanted to say congratulations to each and every one of you. Thank you for the time. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Councilman Kent. Okay, now we can move to 11, reports, suggestions, requests. Now move on to staff and commission reports, suggestions, and requests, starting with City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
Reminder that your next meeting is Tuesday, January 7th. You'll have a regular commission meeting then, and again on January 21st. I'm pleased to report that we will be reopening the Performing Arts Center doors after the unfortunate fire we had there. The Children's Music Theater Workshop will present Disney's Finding Nemo Kids and SpongeBob Musical, Youth Edition, this weekend. So it'll be our first show, and how appropriate for the young people to be stars of that. So tickets are available for $25 for adults and $20 for children. I'm also pleased to announce that we are, Crowder Golf is our debris removal contractor, and they are making their second and final pass throughout the city with an expected completion date within the next 2 weeks. So far, they've had 55 days of debris collection post-hurricane, with 90 days being the requirement to get 100% reimbursement. If you're not aware, the governor said that if cities could get their debris removal conducted within 90 days, that he would waive the 12.5% of the city's share of debris removal. FEMA gives you 50%. The state would give you 50%. 75. So we get 100% if we get it done. So we feel very confident. Thus far, we have had 2,100 truckloads of vegetation collected for approximately 87,000 cubic yards of debris. So that's a lot of debris. So I just bring your attention to that. The 40th annual gala at the Casements will begin Friday, December 6th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. There will be a tree lighting and Santa's arrival. It's free to everybody. It's a great festive holiday time, so I encourage everybody to get out there and see that. That's Saturday, December 7th and Sunday, December 8th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. There's a gallery of trees every year inside the Casements, and they have entertainment, homemade arts and crafts, and Santa will be there. Movies on the Halifax, just a specific note for Councilmember Kent, that on Friday, December 13th will be Elf at Rockefeller Garden. So we're happy to announce that. The 33rd annual Home for the Holiday parade will kick off on Saturday, December 14th, and we'll have tree lighting ceremony beginning at 6 p.m. here. And then at 6:30, the parade will start. Breakfast with Santa, I'm sorry to say you're too late if you didn't sign up for Breakfast with Santa, because it's officially sold out. But you can still have your child send a letter to Santa. There's a red mailbox right there at the Casements, and if you drop an envelope in there, you will receive a personalized letter back for your child for Christmas. It's a very, very popular item. So no cost for it. It's 100% free. We just want the little ones to know that Santa's watching this whole time, so keep in mind. And just for clarification, every year, the city has Salty Church puts out the nativity scene. They typically put it out the day or two before the holiday parade. So they will be putting it out probably Wednesday or Thursday of this week. Additionally, every year, the Jewish synagogue is permitted to have a menorah there. But please keep in mind, their religious calendar is long this year, so they won't be putting up the menorah until Christmas Day, that at sundown. So that won't start till December 25th. So I just want to be certain that people understand that we are a city that celebrates Christmas and the holiday, and every year we do that. So thank you and good night.
Thank you, Joyce. Assistant City Manager, Sean? Okay. Did Claire have anything? No? Okay. City Attorney, Randy?
Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Then I'm going to start with Commissioner Sargent tonight.
Means you're last.
I know, I'm good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to say thank you to Public Works, Sean Finley, and staff. You have an amazing staff. I had a phone call, an emergency last week at about 3 o'clock at the office, and one of the fiber optic companies drilled into a reclaimed water and flooded. It was flooding the street all over the place, and your team was out there and rectified the situation in a great manner. So thank you. Also, on December 1st of last year, we lost Officer Baceza. It's been 1 year already. He died from a medical issue in the line of duty. So just remember his family as we go into the holidays as they're going through that loss still. And I just would like to say thank you to staff. We have a great staff here. Everyone from the top down. The transparency that we have, everyone that works here loves the city and really, I feel, has the best interests of the city at heart. And I'd just like to say thank you. Councilman Kent, thank you for joining us this evening. He's not paying attention.
He's not paying attention.
And I'd just like to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent. Commissioner Deaton?
I'm hoping everyone had a pleasant Thanksgiving. We were fortunate enough to spend Thanksgiving at our home in North Georgia, giving us some cooler weather and some much needed family time. This week we're attending the Florida League of Cities Conference in Orlando. I'm excited for that. Tomorrow I will be attending the Ormond Beach Officer of the Year, and I'll be attending the No Longer Fatherless Gala this weekend. We do have a number of events coming up this month that I am looking forward to. This past week, our community unfortunately lost an important asset, Carl Lentz. Rick was not only a veteran, but also a pillar in our community, serving on many local boards for a number of years. I just encourage you to keep his family in your thoughts. I'd like to close by thanking City Manager Joyce Shanahan, City Attorney Randy Hayes, and the rest of the city staff for being so helpful during this onboarding process. They have been readily available day, evening, and weekend. I'm just very appreciative of their ongoing support and guidance. And with that, I hope everyone has a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Deaton. Commissioner Briley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing I just kind of want to bring up, I have been getting phone calls the last couple of weeks, I'm sure, like other commissioners, still getting phone calls, and I know Sean's getting me as well, and because I've been calling Sean regarding flooding. And I know we've talked about having a flooding workshop regarding flooding coming up next year. And I'm sure, I imagine staff's probably just trying to pull together a list of identifying those areas where we're having calls, complaints, to where we can see what might be able to be done in those areas. I think we also we'd like to talk about what proactive measures the city took, because we actually took proactive measures prior to the storm getting here by pumping down some retention ponds and what have you to reduce some of that flooding risk. So that's just one thing. I don't know about y'all, and I haven't talked to Sean about this yet, but I figured I'd bring it up here because this is our opportunity to talk about things in the public. I'm getting a lot of phone calls about the median extensions at A1A and Granada. And I, not only A1A and Granada, I noticed tonight too at US 1 in Granada, where they're going out further into the intersection. Apparently at A1A and Granada it's caused a lot. I've probably gotten over a dozen phone calls. People pulling trailers or clipping that median. I guess there's a question now if Publix delivery trucks will be able to make the turn when they're coming down from the Ormond Mall to the Granada location. There's just a lot of problems, and I think I don't know if we can talk to DOT about it, but I'm getting a lot of complaints. I don't know. And again, I figure maybe Lori and Travis, since that's over in y'all's area, if y'all are getting complaints or not, but I'm getting a lot of complaints.
Yeah, I have not received any calls, but I have seen just today a trailer going over the median trying to make a turn. So,
Yeah, I agree. Well, I've gotten some phone calls on it too, and I've experienced it firsthand with my vehicle.
Yeah, and even people with, not even pulling a trailer, they just, say how they have to, make that more difficult turn now. And it's I guess it's, if the public's seeing a problem with it, we need to see what we can do to address it with DOT. Looking forward to this weekend's Christmas parade. It should be a grand time. And since this is our last meeting for the year, I want to wish everybody happy holidays, and we'll see you next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Riley. Yeah, I did, going back to the storm drains, I remember the meeting, I think it was back in November, October, that there was talk about maybe doing a workshop on it. Do we have anything in the plans for that?
Planning did have a workshop, a public meeting 2 weeks ago that was for those who were affected by the flooding. It was to work with the engineer, Pegasus Engineering, to help those who were subject to flooding in their homes, help them to fill out some of the applications for some of the grants that are available through FEMA. So we did do that meeting. Stephen's department worked real hard at pulling that together. We don't have a meeting right now set up or a workshop set up currently to discuss flooding issues. We're pulling some things together, as Stephen mentioned. We recently put an application in through through Volusia County to do some studies. We've got some other things that we're working on in some other areas. One of the areas that we are going to be studying, in addition to Durance Acres, is the area north of Granada Boulevard, up north to the middle school. That area, that's really kind of our priority area. I think the next decade, like Central Park was the previous decade. As we get some more information, as we get a little bit further along, I think that's a great idea to get you all up to speed with some of the things that we're doing, some of those issues that we've been hearing about, some of the things that we're doing to try and work towards those, and also to hear some of the things that maybe you have heard as well. As always, though, if you hear something, if there's individuals who are bringing things to your attention, bring them to our attention, and we will definitely look at them on a case-by-case basis.
Sean, are y'all putting together a list of the areas that complaints we're getting? I kind of figured you were.
We've got multiple lists.
Okay.
We've got the list that were those houses that experienced flooding inside them. We've also got those areas that we worked on with through that stormwater master plan. Those are some of the known culprits. With this hurricane, we had some new culprits. We had some new ones that we hadn't seen before. We met, I and Joyce met out behind the new Tomoka Elementary School. That's on our list now. So one of the things that the third one that we're looking at are some of those micro studies of those areas where we saw some really concentrated, very localized, but very real problems. And so that's one of the areas we're going to look at. We're going to look at hidden hills and some other ones around town. So there's no lack of areas that we have seen here. We're seeing some new areas that we've seen flood that we've never seen flood before. We're going to try and stay out ahead of it and really take a look at them. So as we get a little bit further in, I think that that's something probably the timing may be later in the spring as we get ready for budget time. That might be an ideal time to look at doing that.
I think Commissioner Sargent had a question for you.
I just think that after a hurricane or after these, a hurricane season, maybe if we just did like an after action report to identify what we did great, what needs improvement, and maybe just learn from everything. I think that would be helpful, not just necessarily focused on flooding. Thank you.
And going back, sorry, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So talking about that conversation, because I think the last commission meeting I had asked about that as well. Not only to the flooding, but I think we had talked about getting information on our infrastructure. I mean, we've had a lot of breakage, during storms. And I know we're repairing it with that liner and all that, but do we need do we need to look at, or can we look at, where all the older infrastructure is? Should we be patchworking it, or should we be looking at, do we need to do bigger, stronger pipes? And then if that's the case and that's what we need to do we take it back to the residents to see how we pay for it?
Yeah.
So I'd like it to be more extensive and really have a workshop.
Just to add that when we do our strategic planning, one of my initiatives is on that. And because what we learned at the National League of Cities, one of the classes I took was that we can use AI to upload our infrastructure, and they can help predict certain things on what infrastructure pipes are going to need fixing next. They also have, Google has a thing called Flood Hub, where they can predict floods up to 5 to 7 days ahead of time using AI, using rainfall, tides, moon phases, everything with AI that can help predict these things a lot ahead of time. So that's part of what I look forward to doing with our goal setting meetings going forward. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd also like to add to that, I think that, what I don't want to see is us putting Band-Aids on things. And I see that sometimes, and we have technology on some of these storm drains from probably the 50s or 60s, and, technology has, really advanced, just like Commissioner Sargent just said. So I'd like to really have that conversation, and let's, instead of putting a Band-Aid on it, let's just fix it once and for all.
I'll likely bring that back to you closer to the budget time. We'll share with you the after action, but it's really kind of a budget.
Yes.
And we need some time to prepare that. We've been working on that. I mean, we've been actively repairing, and any time that we can upgrade a line when it's broken, we will do that. We don't wait for, because we have funds in the budget to be able to do that. So we don't wait, we just don't, Sean doesn't patchwork anything.
One of the, not to belabor this too much, because and I'm happy to talk to any of you individually. We have a utilities master plan. We've identified a lot of that. We are currently in our fifth project that is water main replacement. Many of you have heard me say many times that we have to handle water main replacement similarly to our roadway resurfacing. You don't see the pipes underground getting bad like you see a roadway getting raveled and getting potholes. But we need to work on those, and we do that by identifying those streets, those pipes that have a history of breakage, have a history of poor water quality, have a history of poor pressure. We are expanding that. We're looking at, and the example on Riverside Drive is a perfect example. Are not just looking at now water mains, but also looking at our pressurized sewer mains. We do a lot of the gravity. The lining of the gravity is the best one we can do. So we line those gravity pipes, which is essentially putting a new pipe inside that pipe. It's very non-invasive. I appreciate everybody's concern, and we try our best. It kills me to think that we would even put a Band-Aid on it. We really want to give our residents the best quality utilities. That's really the charge of our utilities department, is to do that. And by doing, when I say are on our fifth water main replacement, that's fifth where we've done one on a north Penn, one on a south Penn, one on a mainland. So we're at about our 12th one in the past 10 years that we've done. So that's a lot of miles of water main that we replace. That's an easy one for us to identify and do. The sewer ones are the next ones, and so those are some of the things. We will never come to the end of doing that. That's something that we will always be doing, similarly to always replacing and always resurfacing roadways. So our infrastructure, we take a lot of pride in it. Our people take a lot of pride in the utilities department and public works, and so we want to make sure that they have the best facilities that they can maintain. It makes life a lot easier for them when they are not spending their time spinning their wheels, because it's something that we can do better of, and that's really, we owe it to our residents as well as our staff to do that. So thank you.
I didn't mean that to insult anybody. Just to piggyback on you, Commissioner Briley, about the FDOT concern with the roadways on A1A and Granada, is there any possible way to do a sit down with FDOT, or just have a discussion with them about our concerns? And
we meet with them regularly, and I just got word from Alex Schuman, that they will be, the meeting on Granada at A1A is being shortened this week. So they as many concerns as we've heard, people know that it's a DOT project. They've shared those concerns with DOT. DOT is making modifications as we speak. So, that's a testament to the fact that people reach out to everybody, as well as the fact that staff communicates to DOT and some of the other agencies. DOT has regular progress meetings that we attend, nearly every one of those on those projects, such as this Granada project. So that one, the one at Granada and A1A is going to be addressed. We'll take a look at some of the other ones. If there's some other ones, like sounds like the one at Halifax and Granada is probably another one, and US 1. So we'll pass along to them.
That was only as far as I can say on Granada on the side. It's not anything on the west side.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at that, and we'll mention to them that we have heard multiple concerns about this as well.
Awesome. And I'd like to also just comment about the debris cleanup, and you guys did a great job to be ahead of schedule. I know I had some emails come in from residents, and we took care of that. So thank you, Sean, for doing that. Great job. Great job by Joyce, by the way, and great job by City Attorney for helping us with some of the questions we had early on in the meeting about some of the things. And I'd like to thank everyone that came out tonight. And
You still have me.
Huh?
I haven't had my final
I'm
comments.
sorry. You know what? We bounced around so much, I didn't realize that.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. Deputy Mayor.
That's okay. I feel a little hurt, but that's okay. I just want to let everyone know that the Regrow the Loop 2025 is active. They're establishing a calendar of events for all the residents to enjoy, and they are still collaborating with all the notable stakeholders that were involved last year. And again, I want to thank Troy Kent for getting that started in the county, and I'm hoping that other cities keep picking up on that. I did enjoy listening to Lisa Lewis, the supervisor of elections, discuss the recent election and applauded an amazing voter turnout in accuracy and reporting. She really does an unbelievable job in Volusia County, and you never have to worry when she's in charge. And I'm looking forward to attending our Florida League of Cities Legislative Conference tomorrow. And I only have one more new piece of business, and it's a request. And it's actually a request given to me. I can't take credit, from Alan Burton. And he made a suggestion, and I think it's worthy of consideration. And I would like this commission to consider changing the Leisure Services Department to Department of Parks and Recreation. It makes more sense, it's more descriptive, and I will read his comments on that. And also, his other suggestion was when we update our goals for our concept plans, that we change, losing my mind, to park, forestry, and the recreation element goal, as opposed to what it is now. Let me read what he wrote. The concepts of open space and leisure services are a throwback to the 20th century. As we look to the future of Ormond Beach through our comprehensive plans for the 21st century, 2045, which is what we're working on, we can use more synergistic terms that are more congruent to our land development code, master plans, budget, and organizational operations. For example, we have a recent park and recreation master plan dated 2022, so why not have a Department of Parks and Recreation to implement the master plan? The open space is minimally present in the goals and objectives of the existing element and needs to be updated. Leisure services is an abstract concept of a state of being or state of mind. However, recreation is a legitimate use of government and can be defined by place, time, and activity. So my recommendation would be, if you all would consider that, to change leisure services to Department of Parks and Recreation.
I don't see any issues with it, but Randy, can we do that?
It will be a lot of work, but.
It's
require one or more changes to ordinances, and we'll have to look to see if there's any other overlapping documents that may need to reflect the changes. So, you know, it seems like a minor thing, but it's
It's
really,
a lot of work, I know.
It's a big thing, and it may be something that you want to get some more background information on and have a discussion about it so that you can give good informed direction to your staff. And then based on that direction, you know, my office will know what we need to do to make that happen, or to do something different too. So that would be my recommendation.
And I'd be curious, we could do the research, and I think like Randy said, because it used to be called the Parks and Recreation Division. Before it was Leisure Services. It was called Parks and Rec back in the 80s, it was 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I don't think it changed to Leisure Services until maybe the mid-90s, and I don't know why there was the change of the name of the department. But it used to be Parks and Rec for years. And I still call it Parks and Rec. I don't always call it Leisure Services.
When you tell people you're on a board, you say Leisure Services, they kind of question you. But
Well,
if you
Leisure
say
Services seems kind of broad.
It's like
It would seem broad or vague, yeah.
Anyway, so how
I
do
mean,
you all?
I support that. I just don't know. I'm just curious why they were changed
So-
it from Parks and Rec to Leisure Services.
So you want to just take a look at it then, Joyce? and
Yeah,
see?
let staff take a look at it. We'll talk to Robert, and we'll come back with you with
Okay.
something, just so you know where we're at and
Oh,
how we would proceed.
Of course, and it's nothing urgent. It was just every time we have a meeting, it's like at the end of my list of things, and I was like, well, this is our last meeting, so I'm going to throw it out there now. And then with that, I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and really appreciate all of our residents. I appreciate the staff, and I appreciate this new commission, so thank you.
Thank you, Debbie Mayer, and I'm sorry to leave you out there at the end.
Oh, please, it's okay.
Well, this is my time to say thank you to everyone that came out tonight. It's been a busy couple of weeks for me, as you can imagine. I did have a chance to meet up with the Boy Scouts. That was a lot of fun. There's two brothers that are actually going to go up for Eagle Scout, so they're going to do 2 Eagle Scout projects, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen with that. For some of you that don't know, but Will Roberts, our tax collector, his father passed away, so just keep his family in your prayers. Will's a good guy. You know, he's our tax collector. We do have the conference this week, so I'm excited about that. It'll be my first time attending. I'd like to thank the staff for all their help in this transition, and it's been a really pleasant experience, and I'm looking forward to keep going here. I did attend a little memorial yesterday for Officer Bacasa. That was really nice, and I'd like to thank Chief Godfrey and the rest of the officers that put that together. But one of the fun things I learned is that Captain Smith doesn't like snakes, so a little fun fact about Captain Smith. But I'd like everyone to wish a happy holiday, good happy New Year. I'm looking forward to the Christmas parade. That should be a lot of fun. And with that said, I'll adjourn the meeting.